Hey guys, welcome back.
Welcome back to Inspired Delusions.
If you're new here, my name is Kayma.
And I'm Olivia.
And we are the co-hosts of your newest favorite podcast.
Or your already favorite podcast.
And we are so excited today, you guys, because we have a guest, an amazing guest.
An amazing guest, truly. And this is such a full circle moment for me because we have the amazing Haley Hoffman Smith on the podcast today.
Yep.
I know a lot of you guys know who that is. We were kind of teasing it with some of our members and people, and everyone was freaking out when they heard Haley was coming on. So definitely full circle, because Haley is someone who I started listening to like when I first started getting into manifestation. And this just feels like such a surreal moment having her on the podcast. Me and Haley, like, we're DMing and I was like, I'm like fangirling. This is crazy. So welcome, Haley. We're so excited that you're here. We would love for you to kind of just tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your story and how you got into manifesting.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun. It's that's just so sweet what you shared, because I love your podcast. You guys both have incredible energy and I'm so excited to be doing this. So hi to everyone.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to give you the most high level overview of my story, and I'm going to put it in terms that are like archetypal, I think.
Okay.
Because I think everybody's been here. Okay. So story is, when I went to college, I wanted to be an author. I wanted to be a speaker. I had like a winding career path. And then when I graduated from college, I was working for a startup and I really just wanted to do my own thing. So through a series of events, started speaking, released a book, published a book, like literally did all the things that I wanted to do. And so decided to bet on myself and quit my job at the startup. And right after I quit, basically all this momentum and all these things that had been going really well completely halted. Like all these speaking invitations I had been getting, it was crickets in my inbox. I just started to feel really, really low in motivation, like so heavy all the time, really tired. Like I'd always been an extremely motivated person, but I couldn't even like get myself to do anything. And this went on for several months and I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, how was everything going so well for me? Like graduating top of my class, like being the first employee at this startup, like speaking at all of these amazing colleges, publishing that, like so much had gone well. And then suddenly I like hit a wall and had some really hard months in 2019, but it led me to EFT tapping. And I did a session with a practitioner named Tiffany Jeffers, who's still my practitioner and like basically a older sister to me to this day. And basically a bunch of subconscious beliefs had come to the surface that I didn't realize that were making it so impossible for me to take action. And it wasn't even just take action. It's like, it's so crazy, but our subconscious rules our entire life. So it actually just halted everything. Like any type of inbound speaking request, any type of opportunities, like my entire life was completely halted. My face was super puffy and swollen. I couldn't breathe through my nose. Like when I say stuck, like completely stuck. And once I started to tap, everything changed. And at first I was literally just tapping as like a lifeline. Like, okay, I've got to like get back to making money again and stop living off my dwindling savings account. But the more I tapped, the more things just started to like open, and really magical, amazing things I couldn't have seen coming. I was doing copywriting at that time, and I got referred to a guy who then referred me to literally probably like 80 clients within just that summer. And I started making enough that I was able to move to New York City, and I started posting on TikTok. And the more I tapped, the more my posts did well. And then just slowly but surely, it actually was not that slow. Once I started tapping, it was very, very fast. Within 2020, I hit 100K on TikTok. By the end of that year, 250K on TikTok. And I was like, what is going on with this tapping stuff? Like, it was so incredible. And I've always been really into manifestation, but I think like tapping was the missing component for me, because even though I was thinking positively and visualizing and I had my vision board, like nothing was moving and it was so frustrating. And then once I started tapping, everything changed. And so everybody was like, how's your life changing? Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, okay, the honest truth is I started tapping on my face. But I don't know how it works, but it works. So I've been studying like the science behind, well, the neuroscience of tapping and changing your life by changing your mind ever since. And that's just continued to grow. I now have a membership community called Dream Away, where we do faster EFT tapping. And there's a bunch of replays, so like anybody can access it at any time. It's like a premier membership. I kind of think of it as like having a gym membership where you're going to like touch up your brain and up level at any time with mini tapping videos or longing tapping videos. And then my book, You Have the Magic, comes out on May 6th, which is all about all of this.
Wow. Well, congratulations. That's so exciting.
Thanks.
That's awesome that you you knew like from day dot that you wanted to be an author and you were kind of chasing that dream. Like that's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Yeah. I've always been a very big dreamer. Have you guys been big dreamers too?
Yeah. You know, the thing is, I feel like I was kind of a big dream. Actually, I kind of wasn't a big dreamer, but I deep down like knew I wanted more, but I didn't actually think that it was possible. And I didn't actually like go for those dreams until I started learning about until I started learning about manifestation and healing and shadow work and all of these things. And then that kind of allowed me to actually go for my dreams and start dreaming bigger. And then now I would say we're really big dreamers.
Yeah, I would say like I've always kind of been a big dreamer, but similar to Olivia, it was kind of like hidden under this feeling of like, well, can I actually do this? Like, how am I going to do this? And being kind of maybe obsessed with the how am I going to get there?
Totally.
And then, you know, as you start to really get into, like you said, like the neuroscience and the spirituality and the nervous system regulation, it starts to peel back that layer. And you're like, you know what? Hell yeah. If other people can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah.
And so even us in like the last year and a half, I would say
our delusions.
It's grown.
Yeah.
Our delusion has grown.
They're inspired delusions.
Literally. We have become
They're getting more inspired.
Yes.
No, literally.
Very, very delusional. And I feel like our dreams just keep getting bigger and bigger. Yes.
But Olivia and I always say one of the things we would have started sooner also is EFT tapping at the beginning. I mean, because it's kind of nice, you know, like it's a energetic lymphatic drainage, but then you're also saying these affirmations at the same time. And it's so funny because oftentimes kind of how you're saying, like, I don't even know how it works. People are like, well, this is like so easy. Is it actually working? And it's like, yeah, it's actually working. So I don't know if you're able to give us like a little bit of the neuroscience aspect or if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, of course. So what makes it work is really the process has so much more in it, the way that I do it. In what's called faster EFT, I didn't just call it that for fun. That's literally what the methodology is called, where there's fewer meridian points. But it's part of an overall process of helping to rewire the subconscious by changing our emotional reaction to past memories and limiting beliefs. So, an example, imagine that somebody really, really wants to start posting online. But every single time they go to do so, they just feel so stuck, so scared, so heavy, or maybe they're even doing it, but like they get 2 views and they're like, what the heck is even going on? I'm like putting in all this energy. I've hired a film crew. Like, why is nobody seeing these videos? What I would do with them, or the way that the tapping would work in this case, is there'd first be a subconscious breakthrough. And that's where we ask very pointed questions to understand why the subconscious believes it's safer and easier to stay unseen or to not take action. Because our subconscious minds will always choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. It just wants you to stay safe.
Yeah.
And it has a memorized, like, this is very like Dr. Joe Dispenza, like a memorized like baseline and a memorized emotion. Even if that emotion is like stuckness and blah and like hoping and wishing and never taking action, like you are literally addicted to that. Because your subconscious is like, perfect, like this is familiar, so it's safe and it's predictable.
Yeah.
So when we start to rock the boat and we're like, oh, I really want to go after something, the subconscious panics. And it can do this by hijacking literally your like ability to come up with ideas or take action. But it can also literally hijack your experience. It's so crazy. But like at the beginning when I was posting all these things on social media, nothing was taking off at all. And then I realized I had this massive fear of being seen, and it was connected to the craziest things in my subconscious. It was like random people from high school were floating around in my head who like, I don't know why it was them. You would think it would be somebody who like bullied me, and it was them too. But they were like the most random people would come to mind. And I was like, why are you in there? That's so crazy. So then you would be able to figure out, okay, like what's really bothering me? What is the fear? There's some really juicy questions you can ask yourself, like, well, what bad thing happens if I take this action? What bad thing happens if the manifestation comes to fruition and I get everything I've ever wanted and I'm living my dream life? Like, are there responsibilities associated with my dream life that feel scary or too big? What could go wrong? What will other people think of me? What will that do to my relationships? Can I handle it? And like the subconscious, literally, it's unconscious to us, but when we ask the right questions, we can really figure out what's underneath there. It's holding all of that information. And it has a lot of information because it's a record of everything that's literally ever happened to us, even things we don't consciously remember. So then we're able to go back and find those core memories. So usually, like in this example, if it's a fear being seen, it might have been a time in the past that you did put out a video, or you got up on stage, or literally it was 5th grade and you gave a presentation at the science fair and like maybe somebody laughed, and like you don't think that's relevant now all these years later, but your subconscious has memorized, oh, I'm rejected if I'm in front of people. And so because of that, it's like, no, we're not going to put you in front of people. Either you're not going to take the action, or even if you push through that and force yourself to take the action, we're going to make sure nobody sees it because we want to keep you safe. And a strong emotional reaction to your subconscious mind is literally like the same as a danger, like being chased by a bear in the forest, which is crazy, but it's true. So with tapping, you would go back to that memory and tap to clear all of the emotions associated. So the pain, the embarrassment, the anger, the rejection, whatever that is. And then you can also use it for specific belief systems. So maybe if there's a belief like, well, if I post, it's not going to go well, or if I post, someone's going to laugh at me, like you can literally tap and clear that. And as you tap, it's literally clearing the emotional resonance, because if you just close your eyes right now and thought back to something that bothers you, that pulls up the neural pathway of what is bothering you. And then as you tap, it clears the emotions that are stuck with that memory, that are telling the subconscious, oh, this is super important to hold on to. That's then shaping your life. So once that goes neutral, and you're building in a new belief because you're stating affirmations about what you'd rather believe, and you're also combining that with some visualization, like closing your eyes and imagining the best case scenario, like how could it go? Or even just like interrupting your brain by moving into thinking about like a funny thing that happened last week with a friend, or your favorite place in nature, or your favorite sip of coffee. Like it literally rewires your brain to be like, oh, this old thing that was super bothersome to me is now okay. And now I can move forward. There's no information in my brain anymore that's now saying, don't do this, it's dangerous, or don't do this, there's pain there, because I've literally now cleared the pain and created a brand new perspective. And I've rewired it in favor of what I would rather believe, because I'm now visualizing the best way that it could go in the future. That was a lot of talking. So please.
No, that was so perfect. I feel like you described that so perfectly. And thank you for breaking down like both the negative and the positive, because I know sometimes I'm like, it'll take away the negative. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the cool thing about that too is like at the beginning of when I would host all of the tapping sessions that I host, it was really cool because we do it on Zoom. And so everybody's sharing in the chat, because I'll ask after each round of tapping and the pattern interrupt, where I like do something funny to move the brain off of it. Like, okay, less, more, different, neutral, meaning do you feel it less? Is it different? Do you feel it more? Or is it gone neutral? Like you don't feel it anymore. And I would notice that even before I started to incorporate a lot of visualization, or a lot of like talking to our future selves, or what you'd rather believe, people would start having brand new thoughts that were like empowering new thoughts that would just come to them naturally, just by virtue of clearing the negative emotion and the memory. Like the more they'd release it. So I kind of have this joke like, oh, we're just returning to factory settings, because like we came into this world like so aware of our worth and how everything was supposed to be like beautiful and magical. And so we're just clearing, like if you think you are the sun, we're just clearing the clouds that have been in the way of it. Like you don't have to over-identify with the clouds. You are not the clouds. You've always been the sun. We're just clearing what's been in the way of your natural connection to source.
Oh, something just clicked. Something just clicked for us. That's such a beautiful way to describe it. And I mean, that's like Abraham Hicks talks about all the time of like, we do have everything that we want, or like source is trying to give us everything we want, it's right there, and we just are blocking it, so that's such a good way to describe it, of like, okay, EFT tapping is helping to get rid of any blocks, get rid of anything that's like holding it away from you. And that's something, we talk about too all the time, of like, you're born inherently worthy of everything you've ever wanted. We just have these like beliefs or these blocks that are holding things back, and we just have to get rid of the blocks. So that's such a beautiful way to think about it.
I love that. We are the sun, we just have to remove the clouds.
And I think that's important too, because a lot of times people think, oh, there's something wrong with me and I need to fix it, especially when we're thinking about like neural pathways. And it's like, no, it's not that. It's like, it's literally just clearing these old stories you've accumulated over time that are not serving you, that are, like Abraham Hicks would say, like they're painful because they're not true.
Wow.
And just, basically just changing your perspective of the way that you see yourself and what your nervous system can hold.
Oh my God, that we could end it right now. That was so good. That was so beautiful. Like, wow. Like, we need to sit on that for a second. That's so amazing. Well, that's so beautiful. EFT tapping truly is that girl. And I feel like we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
And this is just another example, another
reminder, guys. You really need to be EFT tapping.
You really need to be tapping. And it's such a cool tool. It's such a cheat code. We kind of describe it as like a cheat code. You know, there's really all these ways that you can rewire and regulate and all these things, but EFT tapping is like a cheat code. It works so well. So that's so amazing. Thank you so much for describing that.
Of course. Cheat code's such a good way to put it, because of all these years, I've tried a bunch of different things. And I mean, obviously different things work for different people. Like, you know, I've tried hypnosis, I've tried rapid resolution therapy. For me, it's like tapping every single time. And part of it too is it's like so satisfying to do rounds of tapping and then to go back and check it and be like, where'd it go?
Yeah.
sometimes I'll be tapping on something. I'll be like, I really have to be tapping all night. Like this, there's so much here. And then I'll go back and check and I'll be like, oh, are we serious? And it's like, honestly, it's like partially kind of annoying sometimes. I'm like, where is it? Like, what? Why was I so bothered? Why was I just sobbing? It's literally gone.
No, literally. Like, wow, I've had that belief for years and it took 5 minutes of tapping.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
It's so funny when you clear something and then you look back and you're like, why was I holding so much shame or resistance or fear or doubt over that thought that isn't even real? Like, I made it up to protect myself, but it's actually not even real. It didn't need to be there the whole time. And I love that feeling.
I was just going to add on that note, that just reminded me of something I say in my book a lot, which is just really worth saying 100 times, which is truth is completely subjective. So whatever you believe is true for you, it might not actually be true, but believing it makes it true for you.
Right.
It's basically like the filter by which you're viewing your entire life.
Yes.
And so that's why changing beliefs is literally the most important thing that you can do. Because if you believe something needs to be hard or something will never happen for you, that's not objectively true, but you will experience it as true your entire life until you rewrite it. And I think it's like important too with beliefs, like think about other people. Like there's other people in the world who don't have that belief. And so they're experiencing something completely different. And it's literally only like the programming in your mind. Like it's so crazy, but like the brain's kind of like a computer and it just has this line of coding based off of past experiences. It's all in there. It's created a belief and now it has to use that moving forward until the belief can be changed. So if you think about like rewiring as kind of like reprogramming a computer, and then that's how it changes your experience. It's like, whoa, are we in the Matrix?
It is. Literally. It's so crazy. Yeah, that we just kind of describe it that way too, of like your beliefs, your subconscious beliefs are like the lens in which you see the world. Like literally whatever those beliefs are, your brain, you know, the reality, whatever is going to prove your own beliefs correct. So wow, that's so amazing. Okay, yes, reminder, everyone tap. Everyone try tapping if you've not been convinced yet, 1000%. Okay, amazing. Well, we also wanted to, I feel like you are really, really amazing about talking about like the law of assumption and then also kind of the law of detachment and kind of, you know, detaching to the need to check for everything. So how would you describe like the law of assumption and how do you think that you have been able to really believe the law of assumption or lock in and use the law of assumption to manifest your desires?
Your dream life.
Your dream life.
You're kind of living in your dreams right now.
Yes.
So how?
Okay. I also feel like I can't answer this without talking about tapping because tapping has helped me so much with this. I'm sorry. No, I feel like when I'm on my podcast, I'm like, so how do we fix this or how do we move it? I'm like, time to tap. Like everyone probably thinks it's so annoying if they don't already tap. But basically the way that I would define the law of assumption is being in a space where, I mean, literally you're assuming that it's already happened, but we think about the difference between wanting energy and having energy. And something that really blew my socks off was learning that you can't want something and have it at the same time. So every single time I've ever been in the desperation of something, now I know that that energy is always going to repel the thing that I want because it's not the same as the having energy of it. And I would always notice this back in like 2019 before I got super into all of this. I was always checking my email. Okay. Like, okay, when I check my email, I'm going to get this life-changing opportunity or I'm waiting to hear back from someone or pitch something. And it's like every single time I would check it, wouldn't be there. even if it had been days, or even if it was like, you know, right when the person would usually reply. And then the one time I was checking to like grab my boarding pass or to look something up, or I like wasn't even like, I subconsciously clicked my email. I wasn't even thinking, oh, let me go check. It would be there. It was never, ever, ever when I expected it, which was crazy because I was like nonstop expecting it. I was like, where is it? Like checking nonstop. And that's where I started to learn. And I think we've all been there where, you know, you always get the text back when you're not expecting it, or you always have the video pop off when you're not expecting it. And it's like the lack of expecting it makes it happen. And so that's where like detachment and assumption come together. I think when you're in a place where you really believe something is inevitable for you, / you feel as though you currently already have it because you're already experiencing the emotion you think you would experience having it. And you're in no rush, no force, just complete, like as Gabby Bernstein would say, infinite patience around it. It can come in so much more naturally. It's like you're not repelling it anymore where they're like, where is it? So the things we have, we're detached from naturally. Like you guys brought up the TikTok that's pinned on my page where I talk about like, if you know you have orange juice in the fridge, you're not going to keep checking for it. You're detached when you already know it's there. And so then we dig a little bit deeper. And a lot of times the things we're most attached to or the most in a frenzy about and desperate about, and where is it? And let me check. They're things that deep down, there's a sense of like insecurity or fear. Like, what if this never comes through for me? What if this never happens? And that's making it really difficult to stay in a space of having, in a space of patience. But how to move through this is, of course, I've literally tapped on the feeling of like, where is it? Like, I need it, the attachment, and it really, really helps. One of my really good friends also just shared with me that she was feeling that way she was about to hit 100K on TikTok. And she was like, like, where is it? She tapped. She used a dreamlight session on clearing the attachment, and then it happened the next day. And she literally wasn't expecting it. It's like the second that goes away, but obviously easier said than done because there's things that I really want right now. And I'm like, and you fall into the mindset of like, oh, if I just work harder, if I hustle, if I strategize, then I can make it happen. But every single thing that's ever come through for me, it's just come in like, it was almost an inconvenience when it did come in because I just wasn't even thinking about it anymore, or it was just so not on my mind, right? Like that's why I think it's Abraham Hicks who has that advice. Like if something is really bothering you, go get your mind off of it and do something else. And usually in that time, the situation will get resolved. It's almost like the more you're staring at something, it's like the observer effect, like the thing can't act natural. So if you're staring, if you're obsessing, if you're checking, like it ruins the flow of the entire thing. So anyways, I just said a lot of words. Please, some of it clicked.
No, it did. Definitely. That does click. And I always joke, like, I feel like I'm a master manifester. I feel like I always kind of get what I want. But I've noticed in the past, I used to be so obsessed about, and is it going to happen? How is it going to happen? And Dr. Joe always talks about, you know, living in the unknown. And when you are so focused on things like that, it brings separation between you and your desires. And it took such a long time for me to understand that because I was pushing away some of these like manifestations I wanted, if that makes sense. And so now just like sitting in like pure detachment of, okay, it's already mine. Like it's coming. I know it's coming. So it doesn't really matter how it unfolds, like let go of that control. And I feel like since learning that, I've gotten other manifestations that are so random or so unexpected that I'm like, oh, of course this would happen for me.
Yeah, totally.
I love that. That's amazing.
Well, and okay, tapping is an amazing tool to kind of tap through the fear of not getting it. Is that what kind of you're saying of like, okay, there's this attachment, we're tapping through the fear of not getting it. Tapping kind of helps you lean into like knowing it's already yours. Do you think that there's any other like mindset shifts that you could think of getting into that knowing feeling? Like I love that tapping such a like that's a tangible thing you can do. So that's amazing. Everyone should try that. And so that's great. But I feel like I'm wondering if there's anything else that you can kind of think about of getting into the knowing, because I think it's easier said than done sometimes when it's like, oh, just don't want it, just know, like just know that it's already yours. Just kind of curious if you can think of anything.
I mean, visualization really, really helps just because you're rehearsing the future and it just feels more real. Like I've always noticed if I do a really good visualization the rest of the day, you feel that extra sparkle in the air and you're like,
yeah,
what's happening? Like something's, you know, it's kind of convincing your brain that it's already happened. But then I really think faith is a big component of that too. Everybody has a different relationship with faith, but I think the inevitability factor of it, to be like, you know what, I completely yield this over to the universe, to God, to source. Like the how and the when are going to be such incredible parts of the story, but those are the parts that aren't up to me.
yeah.
So I'm just like going full trust mode. If it's not happening today or it didn't happen yesterday, like that's okay, because the timing is going to make sense when it does happen.
Yeah.
That kind of just helps with the general surrender of the whole thing.
Yes.
And I'll also say, just like as a little mindset hack, like just asking yourself, okay, like if this didn't happen, what are other alternatives, like other things I could get excited about? Like sometimes getting excited about a second option, it just like helps to dissipate the energy a little bit. And then also coming back to the tapping thing, you can also literally just tap on that, like, where is it? I want it. Like that sort of anxiety that's coming up in general. Because it's just like an emotion that's moving through your body that sometimes we just really want something. And it's not that you're going to move to a place of not wanting it anymore, but tapping brings so much peace that then you're like, okay, I feel more mellow. I feel like I can just like hang out a while and see when it comes.
Oh, that's
beautiful. Also will say, like, anytime I've ever gotten super into a creative project or just super focused on something that was in my control, it has helped me to not be like, where is it? Like thinking about it nonstop. Like I remember both years that I did Vlogmas, like 2021 and 2022, where you vlog every single day of December and then you edit the video at the end of the day. Like I was manifesting so much back then and like having so many videos pop off and everything, which was like the main thing I cared about back then, because I was only focusing on what I could control. And I was in such completion having energy because I was just so focused on what I was creating. And I didn't have time to be like checking for anything else. So sometimes like creating your own flow or giving yourself something to be excited about in the here and now can help. Because then it's also like, okay, clearly there's empty space right here that wants to be filled with something. And if the universe is saying not yet, what can I do instead? With this time and with this space? Is there a way I can be like putting in like daily reps to become more of like my future self so that I know I'm prepared when this manifestation ultimately comes through? Or it's always come back to tapping, making sure there's no resistance to it coming around. Like now, like, are you actually completely 100% okay with it? Because until your conscious mind and your subconscious mind are 100% on board with the thing you want, like it's not going to come through. And a lot of times we're like, of course I want this consciously, but your subconscious might have something else to say about that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
Well, that's like so interesting how you're talking about like doing something else in the meantime, because I think most things happen when you're having fun, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're doing something that like that feels easy and
you're in flow.
You're in flow state, right? Because I mean, that's the whole point of life. Like Abraham Hicks talks about that all the time. She's like, you're here to have fun. Like do what makes you excited. So if it's like this other thing is kind of stressing you out, but you want it so bad, you're right. Like distributing that energy and like focusing on something else in the meantime. Because maybe even in that lull moment, it's like a moment to learn, a moment to explore something else, a moment to do whatever it may, like where it may take you.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah. I also really, really love the faith component and the surrendering. I think that's something I've been really, really trying to lean into more lately. The surrender. I feel like I set that intention like a few weeks ago and being like, because there's a couple of things that are like, okay, I want this faster. Like, how is this going to happen? And then I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to really, really test and lean into surrendering. Hey, universe, God, like I'm surrendering. You figure it out, please. Like, please and thank you, because I know it's going to work. And I feel like I keep learning and hearing about that topic. And I was thinking about this last night because I was like, okay, people who are not surrendering or not having that faith, we are trying to put our trust and grasp into things in our 3D or things we can already see. But really, when you're manifesting, it's like you're putting your trust into like the universe or into God or into source or into your like manifestations coming in. You're putting your trust there rather than putting your trust into the things that you can see right now. So yeah, I love that you mentioned that. Thank you so much.
I love that. That's such a good, it's like, it goes back to the piece about like the unknown, like very Joe Dispenza coded. Yeah. Yes. Such a good point. We can never figure out the how. Like literally every single one of my manifestations ever, I never could have seen it coming in that way or in that time. Even if I thought through every potential way it could come in. Like the universe is like, Uno reverse.
We always say like the universe is like trillion times smarter than our little baby human brain. So it's like we can only think like if we think this is the best, like the capacity is like up here of the best thing ever, the universe is like, actually no, we can take it all the way over here, but we can only think so far.
Yeah, or if we can think of like 10 ways it could happen, the universe is like, okay, I can think of literally a million ways it can happen. So putting our trust into the unknown is such a key part of getting into that knowing and releasing and letting it actually come to you. So then we also wanted to talk about Haley, this kind of goes with EFT tapping, like telling your subconscious that you're worthy of your desires, and pushing past the uncomfortable phase / nervous system regulation to lock it in. But I guess that kind of all stems back to EFT tapping and feeling worthy. So
but we like that. We don't mind that we're only talking about EFT tapping today, because we hope everyone listening is truly locking this in. Like, it's so easy. It takes only a couple of minutes and it's free. Like, you literally use your body. Right. So but locking in on worthiness, how do we lock in on that?
And also our conscious mind, you know, we might do a lot around like, okay, I'll say my affirmations, like I am worthy of all I desire, or I may visualize with my conscious mind, you know, how I would know I was worthy of all I desire. But like your subconscious is 95% of the equation, with conscious mind only being 5%. And so you have to drop into your subconscious mind, and that it sounds difficult, but it's really about just asking yourself the right questions and going back into your memory bank and your emotions and things that show up in your body. So when it comes to worthiness, such a big one. A lot of times, one of the reasons subconsciously that we don't manifest things is because you can't out manifest what you believe you're capable of or what you're deserving of. But all of the input there where you've derived your level of worthiness, so to speak, is from past experiences where you took it to mean you weren't worthy. So you think about, like for me, I was in like theater and choir stuff growing up, and I'm also a singer. And so I didn't get into the audition choirs in high school. And so I took that to mean I am not worthy of being a singer. Like, people don't think I'm good. And I had to be doing some serious rewiring on that one, right? But like, that was my evidence. And then you think about things that are even more generalized. It could be like, oh, you know, nobody wanted to play with me on the playground, or I got my heart broken, or something somebody said, or I never did as well in school as everybody else did. Like, we all have evidence for why we are not good enough. And I'm doing a serious quotation marks, because that's just how our subconscious is processing the information. It's not that we're actually not good enough. It's just that's what our subconscious has taken it to mean. That's what the story is. And so if you can just ask yourself, like, okay, well, how do I know? How do I know I'm not good enough? Am I thinking through the perspective of somebody else looking at me? Like, this one's really trippy. I just went into a full-blown like self-image month and dream away, and it was like the theme of my podcast for all of March. But like, if you're interviewing for a job, that was so weird. I almost said auditioning for a job. Okay, if you're auditioning for a role or interviewing for a job, and you're thinking, oh, maybe this person who's hiring me doesn't think I'm worthy, a good question is, well, who do they remind you of? Like, who does it actually feel like you're interviewing with or auditioning for? And usually it's somebody from your past. It's like, oh, actually, this reminds me so much of my dad, or this reminds me of my high school drama teacher. And then you can do some work, literally imagining looking out of their eyes at you, and like, what do you think they think of you? And you can literally tap to clear that, because it's just bringing up old pain. And the trippiest part of this is whatever you think they think of you when you're looking out of their eyes at you is actually what you think about yourself that you've then projected onto them. And so you're so sure they think that, for sure, because you have all this evidence, but it's all happening within your brain. And also the craziest thing is that you could take this evidence from times in the past that, you know, somebody had their own problem. Maybe they're actually like so jealous of you and they like think the world of you, but they were going through their own thing, or maybe you misinterpreted what they said, or maybe you didn't get your acceptance letter in the mail because it went to the wrong location because they got the zip code wrong. Like, so many things could have happened. And just bringing your brain back to, I can release that old story. I can actually make up a new story about what happened in the past. Like, I don't need to verify if that was true or not. I can convince myself the acceptance letter got lost in the mail. I can convince myself that person was having a really hard year. And instead just come back to the truth, factory setting, so to speak. Let me clear the rejection, the fear that I'm not worthy. Then everything starts to shift. And the self-image component has been a major unlock, a cheat code, as you guys would say.
Yes.
Where, as we've all been tapping on it, like in Dream Away and myself included, like it's been really crazy how even people in my reality are changing. I know that sounds crazy, but like things that people are saying to me when I was like tapping on what I thought they thought of me, and now they're saying brand new things. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah. No, I've like talked about that and experienced that for myself as well, because I'm like, okay, we have so much power in like controlling creation of how other people perceive us. And we always talk about how, you know, the world is a mirror. People are people are reflecting back to you your own subconscious beliefs. And it's about getting out of the victim mentality and being like, okay, so, you know, everything really does stem from you. So you have to change your beliefs first. I love how you're saying, just convince yourself, hey, convince yourself that your acceptance center got lost, or convince yourself that, hey, they were being mean just because they had a bad day or whatever. Like, you can change your beliefs, and you can change your perception, which then changes your reality and changes how people show up in your reality because of your assumptions and your subconscious beliefs. It's crazy. It's crazy, like, how powerful we really, really are.
Yeah. No, it's so crazy. I actually have like an example for this if any of our listeners need one.
Yeah.
But I've talked about this before. A couple months ago, I used to be a ER travel nurse, and I know I'm a good nurse, right? And so one of the other travel nurses had told me that he got asked to get trauma trained, which just means like you work in a certain unit in the ER. And travel nurses usually don't work in that area just because you have to get a lot of training on it, right? And I went home after he told me this, and I went home and I was like, Olivia, they didn't ask me to get trauma trained. Like, I must not be doing a good job. Like, I was so upset. And Olivia's like, that's not it at all, babe. Like, what are you talking about? You don't know why you didn't get asked. And then I was like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I go do my meditation, whatever, go to sleep, go to work. I have a really great day at work. A couple weeks pass, and I never look at my work email. And I had gotten invited the entire time. It was just in my email. And I made up this whole story the rest of that shift, being like, they don't think I'm a good enough nurse. Like, I'm not good enough to get trauma trained, all this stuff. Meanwhile, that wasn't the thing at all. So it's really like taking a step back, like changing your perspective and being like, you don't really know what's going on, because at the end of the day, I know I'm a good nurse, but it's like, just because this one person told me something, I made up this whole story in my head of, oh, I must not be good enough.
Imagine that probably triggered for you on a subconscious level, a past memory, even from like a really long time ago, like being a kid, feeling left out of something, or like I wasn't chosen.
Right.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But I also, you said earlier, you're like, you can't out manifest your
like belief,
your
or like
beliefs,
feeling worthy, or believing what you deserve. Believing what you deserve.
That just clicked for me. I love that. I'm going to hold on to that. Like, you can't out manifest what you actually believe, what your subconscious thoughts believe. Like, because it's true. Like, you can say your affirmations so repetitively or so robotically, but it's like, if you're not actually like feeling some sort of emotion with that, or if you're not clearing out something beforehand, nothing's ever going to change.
Yeah.
So EFT tapping, babes.
EFT tapping,
babes. Back to tapping. No, I have like a crazy story that's kind of similar to yours. Back in 2023, I had written this song called Seasons, and the night I wrote it, I was so excited about it. So I posted it on my music Instagram story. And usually when I post things on my music Instagram story, like, it's a much smaller audience on there, but they like several people will usually reply and say something like, oh, I like the song. Okay. So I was so proud of the song. I'm like, what did I just write? This is phenomenal. I posted it and I was like, oh, for sure. Like, I asked people like, what do you think? Okay. So I was like, oh, for sure, I'm going to get some DMs. Okay. I fall asleep that night. I'm so excited about the song. I wake up the next morning and I have all of 2 DMs, 2. And I was like, am I crazy? Like, am I not actually good at writing songs? Like, I was just feeling, it was confirming a subconscious belief I had that, like, even though I think I'm a good songwriter, other people don't, or other people don't see what I see in my music. And so I'm always going to have to be proving something. So I tapped with a practitioner that morning and like cleared it. And then I went back to my Instagram DMs just to like really sit with the 2 messages I did get. And in the top right corner, it said requests. And it said like 12 requests.
Yeah.
And I had gotten flooded from the night before, but somehow did not see the messages. They'd all been there. All of these people saying, like, someone was like, please finish the song because I want it to be my song at my wedding. And like, this is the best song like you've ever written. Like, the most amazing comments and messages, but I literally did not see them. And like, I was checking. I checked my message requests, guys. I swear to you, because I really needed some validation. It was not there until I tapped. It was so crazy.
Our brains, like our brain is so powerful. Like I feel like I've heard that and learned that too, of like your brain literally won't show you something, or you'll just block it out of your literal sight and your vision if that's not, you know, aligned with your beliefs, right? So like once you change that belief, then opportunities, things come into your life. You're able to see them. So yeah, our brains are so powerful. We always talk about the book The Power of Your Subconscious Beliefs by Joseph Murphy, because our subconscious beliefs are so powerful, and they control so much. So that's a good example. That's really beautiful.
Yeah, the RAS working overtime to be like, nope, you do get this. Nope, you don't get this.
Yeah. So, and we talk about, you know, obviously we talk about being delusional all the time, and how we're rebranding delusional to be a good thing, right? And we talk about how being delusional is believing in your dreams, or deciding to believe in your dreams, deciding that, you know, anything is possible. You can get your manifestations no matter what your current reality looks like. And I feel like that's a big part of kind of what you were just talking about, of like, you don't have to use past evidence or even evidence in your current reality to dictate your future. You know, that's what being delusional is like realizing and just having faith that your manifestation can come no matter what you're currently seeing, no matter what has happened in the past, and just making that decision first. And then that's how you get your wild delusional dreams.
I love that. That's such a good definition of delusional. And yeah, that's serious. It's the secret. I mean, it goes back to, you can't out manifest your own beliefs. And so it's really cool too. For me, it's so satisfying to be able to figure out like what belief was in the way, or to be reminded of all of these truths about the subconscious mind and be like, okay, wait, hold up. Like maybe I'm not stuck. Yeah. Maybe I'm not being punished. Maybe it's not that I'm not good enough, or that this is impossible, or that this is hard. Like everything is a reflection of my beliefs. And so I don't have to wait on anything outside of me anymore to change my life. I can just go within and shift my belief system, and then everything outside of me will change. Like, it's always stood out to me. Like I always think of this. I wish I could find the original TikTok video, but it said something like, asking your reality to change without you changing first is no different than getting upset when your reflection doesn't smile at you in the mirror. If you don't smile first. And every time I'm reminded of that, I'm like, okay, all is well. Things are fine. Things are working out. Like, let me bring it back home to myself. Let me tap. Let me visualize.
Dr. Joe always says, like, you got to change your personality before you can change your personal reality. It's cool because everything always comes back to us. Like, we're actually in control. We're in this, you know, Matrix video game. Like, everything responds to our energies. So it's like, fix yourself, fix everything outside of yourself.
Yeah. And it can be triggering, I feel like, at first, when people first learn, like, oh, everything comes back to you, like taking radical responsibility. Because if we've been in that like victim mindset, or thinking that we can't control things, or thinking everyone's out to get us, it can be a little triggering at first to learn, nope, there's no one to change but self. Like it can be triggering at first, but then I think it's the most empowering thing ever, because then you realize, oh, okay, all I have to do is change myself. All I have to do is start, you know, look within, and then I can change anything in my reality, which is like the coolest thing ever.
It's so freaking cool. And I also think, like, at the beginning, there's a thick neural pathways devoted to kind of that old story of like, oh, someone has to come save me. Or I would always think like, oh, I'm going to get discovered. Like Mandy Moore apparently was like the FedEx driver who heard her sing and like took her tape to that. So I was like, I need a moment like that in order to be discovered. I want to know what her subconscious beliefs were. But once you start to move into this space, and then you start to, I mean, even manifesting really small things, like a lot of like the book E Squared by Pam Grout is a great beginner's spot for anybody who's just now getting into this, because it guides you through manifesting really little things. Like a song from high school was one. And so in my head, when I saw that, a song from high school, I was like, oh, I bet I'm going to be in a grocery store and like a song I loved in high school is going to play. But a few days later, one of my friends, unprovoked, and I didn't tell her I was doing this little like energy experiment, sent me this song that I had gone to the concert in high school. She just sent it to me. She's like, oh, this just popped up on my Spotify. Like, what a throwback song. And I was like, oh my gosh. So it like teaches you how to let go of the how, and how things can show up really magically in your reality. And it's really good to do it with little things like manifesting a free cup of coffee, or just all the things that book says, because you're naturally more detached, right? Because you're like, it doesn't really matter that much to me if a song from high school shows up or not. But then those little things over time start to build out that neural pathway of like, oh wait, maybe I am more powerful than I think. And then also every time you have a subconscious breakthrough and you figure out why your subconscious has been resisting the manifestation, it's like, oh, oh, I see.
Yeah.
And then it becomes easier and easier to take responsibility because everything starts to make really perfect sense.
Yeah. Lots of like, or more and more like synchronicities like that, or little manifestations. I totally agree. That's kind of how I started getting into manifesting. I did not believe manifestation worked. I saw the quote, like, you have the power to create your own reality. And I was like triggered by that. I was like, that's not fucking true. but I was like, okay, well, if it is true, let me just like test it out. And so I was like just testing out kind of like on little things, and so many things started manifesting. And I was like, oh wait, there's something to this. And I was talking to someone else, like talking to one of our neighbors the other day, and he was like, well, what if like you just don't believe it works? And I was like, well, just test it out, just test it out. You can test it out with small things. We talk about we kind of also talk about like taking note of those things, write it down. Like when synchronicities like that happen, or when you manifest something, like start writing it down, because if you don't, then your brain like might forget it. But if you start writing down all these little things that keep happening, it's going to keep reminding yourself of like, oh wait, it does happen. Oh wait, this does work. You have to like kind of train your brain. And I think when you write it down and look at it often, it kind of helps to build that new neural pathway faster. But yeah, that's really good. Starting small, you guys, starting small, and just and then you can manifest more and more and more things, and start living your dream life. But yeah, Haley, this was so amazing. Is there anything else that you wanted to share? This has been really, really good. It's definitely been having some light bulb moments for us. I can tell when Kames has a light bulb moment, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is good. But same for me.
We always ask our guests, like, if you have any book, like one book rec that you're like, you have to read this. I know you just said the one book, but then also a quote, like a favorite quote, something that kind of grounds you or you come back to often. And it doesn't have to be anything. Like one of Liv and I's is like, all is well. I know you said that earlier, but like we heard Abraham Hicks say that, or Louise Hay, and we're always like, yeah, all is well. But anything you like?
Well, for book, I would say You Have the Magic by Haley Hoffman Smith.
Yes. Okay, yes. Period.
Because it teaches you how to tap. It has all the subconscious breakthrough questions, and it comes out in less than a month as of the time we're recording this. So must say. And then as for a quote, I would say lately for me, it's allowed to be easy.
Ooh, love that.
Yeah, because I just think, especially me being like, I've always just been very ambitious. I always thought, oh, the harder I work, the more I push, the more I strategize, the faster I can make it happen for myself. And then that only gets you so far.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be like this easy, wonderful, natural experience where you're like letting it happen and you're meeting the universe halfway. And it's like this dance with the divine.
I love that. That's definitely our big in our household of like, okay, we love doing things with ease. Like it's okay. Yeah. I love the mantra, the affirmation, like universe, show me how easy it can be. Love that much. I feel like the more I say it, the easier things get. So that's beautiful.
Yes. Oh, and then I would also say, sorry, I know you only said one quote, but I would also say, something along the lines of anything can change at any time, or like today is the first day of the rest of your life. Like always reminding yourself that like brand new things, you have no idea if tomorrow is going to be the day that like absolutely changes your life in the best possible way. You never know. You never, like in the moment before it happens, you don't know it's a moment before it happens. You just don't.
Yeah. Right. Oh, I got chills. So good. We've been talking about that a lot lately too, of like the unknown. Be like, okay,
the unknown, and especially like in this day and age, like with social media and stuff, like you never know what could happen. Like we always say like, let luck meet preparation, right? Like do what you can, and then sit ready for luck to meet you.
We got that quote from M on the Brain because she listened to our podcast. We just want to give you credit.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, M on the Brain is so good. I was actually going to quote her earlier. I was going to say, I just saw one of her videos where she said, like your brain filters out 99% of reality.
Yes.
And I was like, that is definitely, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
She's so good. She's going to come on the podcast soon too. But thank you so much, Haley. This is so good. Our audience definitely got a treat today. This was amazing. We'll definitely have to, if you're ever in LA or if we're ever in New York, maybe like in the future we can do like an in-person recording session, and
I'm
bring
coming
you back
to LA for my book tour on May 20th.
Oh, yes, we'll definitely get connected. Yay. Okay, awesome. Well, we're excited to read read your book, and we're wishing you so much success. Well, we know you're already successful, and it's already done. And thank you again, and we love you guys so much. Thank you for listening. Lots of good things coming. Lots of revelations for us. Yes.
And we're only up for here.
We're only up from here.
Bye.
Bye, guys.